All right, today's Mr. O Math Vid. We're going to discuss relations, domain, range, and functionality, and whether or not something is a function. So just to help you guys remember something real quick, domain is your x values, range is your y values, and then function, each input from your domain can be assigned to only one output. Okay. And we'll look at that as we go through, but I'm going to use some colors here to highlight. I'm going to highlight all of our x values in green, and those will be part of my domain, so that we can go ahead and start off with that. So the domain is curly bracket or bracy for our set, because this is a discrete set. There are individual points. It's not a continuous interval. So we start with the lowest. We have -2, then -1, then 1. Notice I have two 1s in our x values, so therefore that is it. We don't repeat. Now, right here, I immediately know, since I have 1s repeating in my domain, this is not a function. So if you see an x value repeat, not a function. Alright, so the next one I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to highlight all of my y values. Come over here in red and do that. And as a result, do our set for our y's, least to greatest, and just so happens they're already in least to greatest order. So -2, 0, 2, and 3. So that's how we're going to do the first section on this little grouping worksheet. Just identify the domain, function, not a function, and then the range. Alright, so let's scroll down to this one. This one's a little bit longer of an example here on number 5, because there are a lot of points. Just a lot of points. So starting off with my set, my first point right here is -2, -2. Then my second point there is -1, 1. My third point, I'm going to go with this one on the x-axis, is going to be 1, 0. Point just above it is going to be 1, 1. Point down here in the bottom right is 3, -2. And finally, just with enough room, this top right point is 3, 3. Okay, so domain. All of my x values. And the reason I went left to right for a reason here is because whenever you do domain and go left to right with the points, it puts your domain in order already. So -2, -1, 1, repeater, so don't write it, and then 3, and followed with another 3, so we don't write that one. And since we repeated, we already know not a function. So let's come along and do this range real fast. All those y values, which I'm going to highlight with the red highlighter. Alright, so the lowest value I see -2. Followed by 0. Followed by 1. Followed by 3. Now, if you don't want to have to search through all these numbers and they gave you a graph, just so you know, -2, 0, 1, and 3. You can look at the graph where those points were from bottom to top, and that's how you can do your range quicker if that helps you, instead of searching through all those points, because this right here can get a little just cumbersome. Alright, so right here on number 9 we're going to do a map. So we need our two ovals, or something oval-like, as that one definitely is not an oval. And again, it's just as simple as identifying XY value. So first number is going to belong to our domain. I'll highlight them in green again. And then the range I'm going to highlight in red. So our domain, least to greatest, -2, 0, and 5. Our range, -1, 3, and 4. And now let's draw the maps. Let's assign these points their outputs, or at least the inputs, their outputs. So -2 was assigned to -1, 0 is assigned to 3, 5 was assigned to 4, and then -2 was also assigned to 3. And this is real easy again. Domain, it's just the first oval. So 2, 0, 5. -2, 0, 5. Sorry. Range is going to be -1, 3, and 4. Now, is it a function, not a function? If you were paying attention during the beginning, you noticed I said -2 twice, and it's shown right here by having two arrows leaving the -2. So as a result, this one is also not a function because the -2 has two assigned outputs, and we can't have that for our function. Alright, so down to our last two examples. We're going to do domain and range on continuous graphs. And just so this is a little more visible, I'm going to try to fill in the graph just a little bit better for us. Alright, there we go. So, and this right now, for those who aren't my students, have never seen this before, this is the smash method. So smash the left-hand side down to the x-axis and smash the right-hand side down, or up in this case, to the x-axis, and then draw the line. Okay, sorry, it's been about an hour since I stopped recording this video and I'm picking it back up. So anyway, I drew in over the equation or the graph of the relation, and let's talk about this thing I call the smash method. So what we're going to do is we need to look at the x values for domain, and you go to the far left hand side of the function and you just smash it down to the x-axis, which will be right there on that -5. Then you go all the way to the right hand side and smash it. In this case, you're going to smash it up to the 7, and the domain is everywhere in between that because this is a continuous function. So the lowest value was -5, the highest value was 7. Now, because both of those dots were solid, we put square brackets on each one. For range, we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to smash it to the y-axis. So find the very, very, very bottom, and it's right here on this point, and when we smash it into the y-axis, it's -9. And then at the very, very top is this peak, and that would smash to the 9. And then again, continuous function, the domain is going to, or the range is going to be everywhere in between. So the lowest value, -9. Highest value, +9, and because those dots were solid, square brackets. And finally on this one, to figure out if it's a function or not, vertical line test. As you take a vertical line and go across that function, whether it be your finger, a pencil, I don't care, just drag it across. If it touches no more than once, it is a function. But if it touches it more than once, it's not a function. In this case, there is nowhere that a vertical line is going to touch more than once. So this is a function. All right, for our last example, we're going to do number 19. Same thing with the smash method. So we're going to look at where's the left-hand edge of this graph. It's right there over the -2. And then we notice we've got these arrows on the end of our graph, and they're pointing down and to the right, up and to the right, which means they just keep going to the right. So there is no stop. They just keep going. So the lowest value for the domain is -2 because we do have a fixed point. But there's no stopping. So if you keep going, then it goes to infinity. Now for the range, again, smash it into the y-axis. This line going down and to the right, so it's going down forever. So it just keeps going. And then the other arrow going up to the right just keeps going up forever. So if it's going down and it never stops, that would be -infinity. And then going up forever would be +infinity. And we cannot get to infinity, and that's why we use the parentheses. And then finally, function and not a function. Well, if we look at the y-axis here, it touches the graph once, twice. So since it touches it more than once, it's not a function. All right, guys, so good luck doing the homework and figuring out what the domain range and what the function is. And see you after break.